So right now, a lot of people are buying homes and they're curious on whether they're spending too much because a lot of these houses are being priced and then the home is going for $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, sometimes $100,000 over the price that it's listed at. And it's really confusing for people to decipher whether or not they're paying too much or whether they're making a mistake.
Yeah, the fear, I think, of overpayment is something that we hear a lot of people talking about. What they don't really realize is how the house is priced isn't necessarily correlated with the value of the house itself. So that is something that you definitely have to trust your realtor to figure that out for you before you make this decision whether to go forward, either paying higher than asking price or at asking price, or how far to go in on a property.
Yeah, I mean, it's uncommon, but we routinely see houses that are listed and the asking price is $500,000, right? And when we look up the value of the home, it's actually $550,000. So what if you could buy that $550,000 home that's just underpriced for $525,000, for instance, right in the middle? You are still getting it for $25,000 under the value. And this gets lost upon everybody. I mean, I don't want to go to the store and pay $10 over what the retail store is asking for a shirt, right? I feel like I'm getting ripped off. With property, it is quite different. So let's chat a little bit about that. So again, the first step is always figuring out what the property is worth. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes you need a really good real estate agent to figure that out. But the price and what they're asking isn't the end all be all. That's the start. So, and it could be the opposite, right? It could be that a home is listed for $500,000 and it's really worth $475,000. And so if you don't know that it's only worth $475,000 and you go, I'm going to buy it for $500,000 and think that you're getting a decent deal because you're getting it for the asking price, you might be making a huge mistake from the start. So
yeah, everything in real estate is it's an opinion. Even an appraisal, which is done for the bank to figure out the value, that's an opinion by somebody professional coming out and giving it a valuation. So your realtor should be giving you their opinion of the price that it should be, whether or not the listing agent priced it right or strategically. Sometimes you'll price something low on purpose to drive more traffic out there to then cause buyers to build the price up for you so that you don't have to do that. So yeah, I mean, definitely the price listed is not necessarily the value you should pay. So what you should be thinking about are other things, including your motivation and how long you're going to be in the home and what it's worth to you to be there.
Yeah, because in some cases, it makes sense for somebody to pay $25,000 over what the seller's asking, even if that is the value. And it could be because something simple as, this is my dream home, I'm going to own it for years and years and years and years and years. And we know real estate goes up over time, especially a long time. That's safe to say. So there's always extra factors. Let's talk about those.
Let's run through a couple of scenarios. One where you definitely wouldn't want to overpay, and that would mostly have to do with time frame in my mind, or maybe if the realtor priced it wrong to begin with. And then another scenario where you definitely feel like there is space and the right momentum and all the factors that you would want to look at value and maybe go higher than the asking price. So first off, when would you not be comfortable writing an offer $40,000 over asking?
I'm going to move soon. 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You want to have an idea of what that rate of appreciation is and forecast out what that home may be worth in 5 to 10 years. So, and then factor in the expenses. So it gets a little complex, but basically, if you're not going to own the home for very long, they say rule of thumb, you need to own for so many years. I think rule of thumb, like look it up on Google, it's like 5 years or something like that.
It typically is. It depends on how fast the market's moving for that period of time. Lately, we've had some years in a row where
9
you're
months
just like
and you could
shocked. You could sell your house in a year and still make money. That's not normal. In a normal situation, you and I have done this forever. So it's like, typically I tell people 3 to 5 years. That's a normal time frame.
And that's assuming zero down, or you're putting money down and you want to get that money you put down back.
Right.
And not have that be a part of a selling scenario that would leave you not owing money at escrow.
So a short timeline would be a reason. Another reason to me would be a home that had like a difficult selling factor that you're overlooking for your personal reason. Something that's, you know, a bizarre sales factor, I
That you
would
can't
say.
change. Yeah.
So then when you go to resell it, maybe you overlook the fact that it backed the freeway and you paid the value that they were asking for at the time, but 3 years later, that might not be the case that you would get that back. So that would be the other scenario that I'd be cautious about.
Yeah, in a low inventory market, all of the dogs sell. All of the dogs sell. So meaning the ones that, if there are more options, these are the homes that typically would be the last to sell because they have some issue thing going on with them, like backing up to a freeway. So.
Yep. So then the other one that we're looking at a scenario for would be, okay, you know you're going to be in this house longer than 5 years, you love the place, and your motivating factors are all there. So talk about that scenario a little bit.
Well, you got time on your side. So real estate, again, traditionally goes up over time. And so if we're looking at an appreciation rate recently, we're talking like 10 to 20%. So a $400,000 home, you can do the math, it's like 40 to 80,000. That's plenty of money to still sell a home after a really short period of time. So what you want to do is factor maybe a lighter appreciation rate. Let's say it drops to 3% or 2% even, or let's say it even goes backwards for a little while. So the safest thing to do would be to have an understanding of where that may be heading. But what you use is just traditional historics, you know, that real estate is appreciating at that 3 to 5% annual rate, and do the math on it, and it will usually tell you that within 3 to 5 years you can sell. And I think that's safe to do. So when 2006 hit, we had a massive real estate crash based off of a lot of mortgage practices that have been being conducted completely different now. So we probably aren't looking at a scenario where we see a massive decline in values, especially now we're dealing with really low inventory, and it's going to take a long time for that inventory to build back up. Even if we have, you know, a struggling economy right now, housing is not struggling.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely some economic factors that are in place here that weren't in place there before. The growth for our area is projected to go up so much, so fast, that plays a huge factor in it. We get people coming in from out of state, bringing in money from all over the country. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're thinking about what is the value of the house and what might it be 3 years from now. So if you're feeling anxious about jumping into the market right now for fear of overpayment or the rumors that you're hearing from friends and neighbors about so and so overpaying for this, or they paid so much over asking price, this can hopefully give you a little bit of a guideline as far as like, why would anyone do that in the first place, and when should you or shouldn't you, or how can you figure that out for yourself, or your realtor should actually be figuring that out with you.
Yeah, is it for you? Is it for me?